Hello and welcome. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. The Union Cabinet recommends end to President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh, approves 6 railway lines and bridge for 10,700 crore rupees. For a second day in a row now, lawyers manhandle journalists. JNU President Kanaya Kumar set to 14-day judicial custody and is beaten up in court. Oil prices continue to fall even as giant oil exporters Saudi Arabia and Russia agree to freeze output at January levels. And in a series on budget expectations, healthcare experts and social workers renew demand for increased spending on the healthcare sector. Our top story this evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today chaired a meeting of the Union Cabinet. The meeting recommended revocation of President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh. It also approved building 6 railway lines and a railway bridge at a cost of 10,700 crore rupees.
The Union Cabinet on Wednesday recommended an end to President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh. This comes a day after the Supreme Court refused to restrain the governor from swearing in a new government in the state.
Well, as far as Arunachal is concerned, there is some privilege exchange between the governor and the president, which we cannot disclose.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also approved the construction of 6 railway lines and a railway bridge for 10,700 crore rupees.
कैबिनेट कमेटी ऑन इकोनॉमिक अफेयर्स ने डबलिंग और थर्ड लाइन जिस पे हमारी सबसे ज़्यादा प्राथमिकता है क्योंकि वहाँ बहुत जल्द नतीजा भी निकल आता है, कॉस्ट भी कम होती है और लोगों को राहत भी ज़्यादा मिलती है और रेलवे को आमदनी भी बढ़ती है। ऐसे 6 प्रोजेक्ट को आज मान्यता दी।
The Union Cabinet also approved notification of commitments under the Trade Facilitation Agreement of WTO. Agreement for collaborative activities in traditional medicine between the Ministry of Ayush and the World Health Organization. An all-India mega science proposal for research on gravitational waves. The Union Cabinet also approved amending the Delimitation Act 2002 and the Representation of Peoples Act 1950. This enables delimitation of assembly and parliamentary constituencies for those who came to India after the exchange of enclaves between India and Bangladesh. This is Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
And let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Dahiya for more on the story. Vishal, the Arunachal Pradesh crisis, it seems, will spill over into Parliament with the Cabinet taking this particular decision. And over there in Arunachal Pradesh, Kalikopul saying that he has the numbers to form the next government.
Well, yes, there have been a number of twists and turns in the entire political situation in the northeastern state, Arunachal Pradesh, for quite a few days now. If you look at the developments in last 2 to 3 days, yes, Kalikopul, the Congress dissident who is at the center of this entire political controversy in the state, has on yesterday, or rather on Monday, staked claim to form government, saying that in addition to 18 Congress dissidents, 11 BJP MLAs as well as 2 independents are supporting him, taking the number to 32. Now, that is a claim which is being contested by the Congress leaders, both in Arunachal Pradesh and at the center as well. The Congress leaders first approached the Supreme Court for a stay on these developments, and when the Supreme Court initially refused to give a stay, then they sought an appointment with the President, gave a memorandum yesterday as well. We saw a number of senior leaders from the Congress party going to meet the President yesterday, asking him to intervene in the matter and to ensure that the President's rule, which was imposed on 26th of January, is not revoked by the central government. But the Cabinet today, in its meeting in the first half of the day, finally took a decision to recommend the revocation of President's rule in the state. And simultaneously, in the second half of the day, the Supreme Court also, put all stops to any activity, any political activity in the state out there, any decisions being taken in this particular matter, till the time the Supreme Court disposes of that petition which pertains with the disqualification of 14 Congress MLAs which was a decision taken by the speaker in turn. So there are a number of twists and turns which has taken place in this particular case since last 2 months. And yes, just few more days to go before the budget session commences. Obviously, as we saw in the winter session, if there is no solution to this political crisis before the session begins, then obviously we might see this entire crisis spilling over into the first week of the budget session and further ahead as well, maybe.
All right, Vishal, there will keep a track of that story for us. Thanks very much for coming in and helping us understand the decision by the Union Cabinet a little better. Now, moving on to the big story from the national capital. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court directions to maintain law and order during the hearing of JNU Student Union President Kanaya Kumar's sedition case, there was another scuffle in the Patiala House Court premises. On Wednesday, too, a journalist was manhandled. Kanaya Kumar was also not spared. This time, too, the Delhi police was accused of being mute spectators. Kumar has now been sent to judicial custody till the 2nd of March, and the Supreme Court has asked Delhi Police Commissioner B.S. Bassi to ensure Kumar's protection.
The second day of JNU Students Union President Kanaya Kumar's appearance in court, and the scene was the same at the Patiala House Court complex. Like on Monday, a group of lawyers manhandled a journalist, but that was not all. Kanaya Kumar was also beaten up as he was brought for his court appearance. Also like on Monday, Wednesday's assault is believed to be led by the same man, a lawyer. And also like on Monday, the Delhi police has been accused of being mute spectators during the violence. Commissioner Bassi, however, says no attack happened.
We have managed the situation. The accused was produced before the court, notwithstanding a lot of crowd at the gate. We waded through the crowd. There was jostling, and despite jostling, this has been done.
The attack happened in direct defiance of a Supreme Court order. The Apex Court had issued a set of directions to ensure peace during Wednesday's hearing. But after the attack, the court rushed a team of lawyers with police protection to assess the ground situation in the lower court. This panel will submit its report to the Apex Court on Thursday. Meanwhile, calls for Kanaya Kumar's release continue.
Supreme Court ordered that 5 court commissioners should go there immediately to ascertain what the situation is, what had happened there, and report back to the court. Once they get a factual report from these 5 senior lawyers who have been sent there as court commissioners, then the court will take a further call on what needs to be done. But the court expressed its alarm at what is happening, and therefore they directed that the hearing of Kanaya's bail matter should be adjourned till the atmosphere can be normalized, till the situation can be normalized.
बड़े अफसोस की बात है कि अभी भी अगर आप देखें, हाल में अभी कोर्ट में हमने देखा कि जिस तरह पत्रकारों पर हमला फिर से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के समर्थक वकीलों ने किया है, और वो वकील मारपीट कर रहे हैं जिन्होंने शिक्षा ली है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का किस तरह हम रक्षा करेंगे, अन्याय के खिलाफ आवाज कानूनी तरीके से।
JNU को सिर्फ नहीं, they want to teach all universities and all the entire academic community a lesson that if you want to be in these universities, you have to make it an RSS.
चिंताजनक विषय है। हमने पहले दिन से 10 फरवरी से जदयू ये बात बोल रहा है कि इन सरकार को, प्रधानमंत्री को, कि चेत जाइए, ये वायरस है, इसे स्प्रेड करने से रोकना पड़ेगा, सख्त से सख्त कदम उठाए। लेकिन केंद्र सरकार सख्त कदम नहीं उठाना चाहती है। वो इन अलगाववादियों की आड़ में कन्हैया जैसे निर्दोष विद्यार्थियों पर कार्रवाई करके खाना पूर्ति कर रही है और कुछ नहीं।
But there is the other side too. BJP workers and leaders held a protest at Jantar Mantar, calling the JNU row a struggle between the forces of Make India and Break India.
बिल्ड इंडिया की संस्कृति है और दूसरी तरफ ब्रेक इंडिया का सपना है और ब्रेक इंडिया की सोच है और साजिश है। निश्चित तौर से बिल्ड इंडिया का जो संकल्प है वो मजबूती के साथ सफल होगा और ब्रेक इंडिया की साजिश और सोच पूरी तरह से ध्वस्त होगी।
काफी संख्या में इसमें लोगों ने पार्टिसिपेट किया था और इसके जो रिंग लीडर्स हैं उनको हमने ऑलरेडी आइडेंटिफाई किया हुआ है और हम जो है उनकी जो मुनासिब सर्च में हम लगे हुए हैं और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है जल्दी ही वो लोग पकड़े जाएंगे। बाकी जहां तक सवाल है कन्हैया का, कन्हैया के खिलाफ हमारे पास पर्याप्त सबूत हैं और उसी के आधार पर उसको जो है गिरफ्तार किया गया है।
Meanwhile, Kanaya Kumar has been remanded to judicial custody till March 2nd. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The 8th Delhi Dialogue started in Delhi on Wednesday to discuss ways to boost the engagement between the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and India. The first day of the dialogue had discussions on ways to increase trade and other ways to deepen the India-ASEAN collaboration. The next 2 days will have ministerial and academic sessions.
The 8th round of the Delhi Dialogue to enhance engagement between India and the ASEAN bloc started in Delhi on Wednesday. This year's theme is ASEAN-India Relations, a new paradigm. Addressing industry and business leaders, MEA Secretary said that enhancing trade was a priority area under the ASEAN-India partnership.
So far, India, Brunei Darussalam, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, Vietnam and Thailand have ratified the agreements. Lao PDR has ratified the agreement on trade and services. So we request you to use your good offices to encourage the remaining ASEAN countries to ratify the agreement at an early date.
The Trade Negotiating Committee is reviewing ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement, which came into effect on 1st of January 2010 to help optimize its utilization and bring it up to date with today's standards. India is looking at enhanced trade with Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam, despite the fact that China has increased its dominance in the region. India is also looking to adjust to the new set of security and economic rules as increasing number of Southeast Asian countries recently joined a Trans-Pacific Partnership or the TPP. Apart from economic affairs, the dialogue is expected to feature extensive discussions on cybersecurity, counter-terror and political coordination for multilateral platforms like the United Nations. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now to our special about budget expectations, and healthcare experts and activists are hoping for a significant increase in the healthcare sector this year. Last year, the government had cut down the allocation to the healthcare sector by over 15%. The cut was significant as the country still needs massive public spending to augment the existing health infrastructure and to deal with the outbreak of pandemics like Ebola and Zika.
Ahead of the budget, healthcare experts and social workers have renewed the demand for a significant increase in public spending on healthcare sector. India's public healthcare system suffers from an acute shortage of trained manpower, medicines and infrastructure.
Money has to go into strengthening of the health system so that its absorptive and utilization capacity can increase. Otherwise, whatever allocations are there will be partially returned unspent because we do not have the ability or the human resources to expend them appropriately.
Health experts feel that India needs to double its allocation to healthcare sector in the next 5 years. Centre has allocated over 35,000 crore for health sector in 2014-15, a jump of 27% over the previous year. But last year, the centre cut it down by almost 16% to bring it down below 30,000 crore rupees. As per World Bank data, total public sector spending including state and local governments stand at around 1.7% of the GDP.
Unless you strengthen the human resources for health as well as health infrastructure and provide adequate supply of essential drugs, vaccines and technologies, we will not be able to achieve the objectives of any of the national programs to the extent that we want to.
As per the official data, over 8% of over 25,000 primary health centers in the country are without a doctor. 38% of the centers do not even have a lab technician and 22% have no pharmacist. The problem is far more acute in community health centers, where the shortage of physicians and specialist doctors is between 75 to 80%.
Has launched an excellent skill upgradation program. I think we do not have paramedicals which are required, and this is not that every time you need doctors, but unfortunately our doctors have to run up for jobs which paramedics can do very well.
Government of India is focusing on such type of aims and all those things so that a trained manpower should come up. They are now developing such a paramedical medical colleges also because we require a trained paramedical person.
India's public spending on health sector stands at 1.3 to 1.5% of the GDP, whereas Brazil spends 4.3%, Russia 3.8% and China spends 3% of its GDP on health sector.
As per a WHO study, India stands at 112th position among 190 countries in terms of healthcare. It would require sustained efforts and massive investment to change the situation. With camera person Shiv Kumar, this is Anshu Jai Singh for Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now to take a look at what else has been making news around the country and nationwide. 5 absconding Simi activists who fled from a jail in Madhya Pradesh in 2013 were arrested in Odisha early today. They were arrested from the Rourkela district in a joint operation by the Telangana and the Odisha police. At least 5 guns and several bullets were seized from their possession. The 5 are reported to be involved in at least 17 other cases. Parents of a Mumbai engineer jailed in Pakistan for alleged espionage have requested Pakistani authorities to release him on humanitarian grounds. 31-year-old Hamid Ansari crossed over illegally into Pakistan to meet a girl he'd befriended online in 2012 and then went missing. He's been sentenced to jail for 3 years. The National Green Tribunal today issued show-cause notice to industries located on the stretch from Haridwar to Kanpur, asking why they should not be shut down for polluting the river Ganga. The Green Panel also asked industries like paper and pulp, textiles, slaughterhouses, etc. what steps have been taken by them to control pollution resulting from their activities. The tribunal will now hear the matter on the 7th of March. Students of the Maharishi Dayanand University and some other institutions today came out in support of the Jat agitation. Protests broke out at the university in Rohtak, with several students raising slogans demanding reservations for the community. Road and rail traffic were also badly disrupted, with 1,000 protesters being booked by the police for causing inconvenience to the public. The centre today eased norms to allow officers to stay on foreign posting and central deputation for a maximum period of 7 years from the existing 5 years. The move comes after various ministries and organizations approached the Department of Personnel and Training for relaxation of the 5-year deputation tenure. Time for us to take a short break. There's lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, days after India expressed its disappointment over Washington's decision to sell 8 nuclear-capable F-16 fighters to Pakistan, the Pentagon has rejected India's reaction. The Pentagon said the decision of selling the fighter jets to Pakistan was taken after taking into account the regional security situation at the time of the sale. The Pentagon further says the deal should not be a cause for concern for India. Last week, India had summoned US Ambassador Richard Verma after the Obama administration decided to sell 8 F-16 fighter jets worth nearly $700 million to Pakistan. India has shown disagreement over the US rationale of sending military aid to Pakistan. The US says it's for the fight against terrorism, but India believes that the military aid goes into anti-India activities. The two giant oil exporters, Saudi Arabia and Russia, agreed to freeze output at January levels as prices continued their downward spiral today. The agreement was clinched during a meeting of the oil ministers from Russia, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela and Qatar in Doha on Tuesday. But Iran, which is planning to ramp up supply, was absent from the meeting.
Oil prices in a free fall, despite Saudi Arabia, Russia, Qatar and Venezuela offering to freeze output at January levels on Wednesday.
4 countries, in order to stabilize the oil
market agreed to freeze the production at January level, provided that other major producers follow suit.
However, leaders are hoping other producers will adopt the proposal, promising to hold more talks on the issue.
We will start intensive communication almost straight away with other major producers, OPEC, non-OPEC, including Iran and Iraq.
Saudi Minister Ali Al-Naimi said freezing production at January levels was an adequate measure.
The reason we here agreed to a potential freeze of production is simply it is a beginning of a process which we will assess in the next few months and decide whether we need other steps to stabilize and improve the market.
Venezuela says it will try to stabilize the market while sustaining production.
We're going to be working as Venezuela to stabilize the market. It's very important to get a fair price to sustain the level of investment that is required to sustain the production.
So far, Iran is not party to the deal. The country that was the second biggest producer in OPEC before sanctions were intensified in 2012 wants to boost output by 1 million barrels a day to regain market share. More than 18 months of declining prices have seen crude fall below 30 USD a barrel and has hit the budgets of many oil-rich nations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, Beijing is denying claims by the United States and Taiwan, alleging that China has deployed an advanced surface-to-air missile system to one of the disputed islands in the South China Sea. The move has increased tensions in the region, even as President Barack Obama urged restraint in the region.
Tensions on a high in the South China Sea. A day after American and Taiwanese officials claimed that China has set up missile batteries on Woody Island. Each battery has 4 launchers and 2 control vehicles. The island is part of the China-controlled Paracels chain, but is also claimed by Taiwan and Vietnam. China is calling the reports figments of imagination, calling the media's attention to what it calls useful construction made by it, like the lighthouses.
几分钟之前才看到这方面的，有人告诉我们有这方面的报道。我想，恐怕还是一种某种西方个别媒体想制造新闻的一种。
The news comes as Southeast Asian nations ended a 2-day meeting in California. Without naming China at the summit, the U.S. called for a halt to further reclamation, new construction and militarization of disputed areas.
We discussed the need for tangible steps in the South China Sea to lower tensions, including a halt to further reclamation, new construction and militarization of disputed areas. Freedom of navigation must be upheld, and lawful commerce should not be impeded. I reiterated that the United States will continue to fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows, and we will support the right of all countries to do the same.
南シナ海における大規模、そして急速な埋め立て、また拠点構築、その軍事目的の利用など一方的に現状を変更し、緊張を高める行為というのは国際社会。
We have an interest in maintaining peace and stability in the South China Sea, as does China and the other claimants. We urge restraint and we urge that all parties settle their differences peacefully.
是呈现一个比较紧张的态势了哈，所以我们还是要呼吁各方能够秉持和平解决南海争议的这个原则自我克制，这个是最重要的。
Rival countries Taiwan, China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia and Brunei have wrangled over territory in the South China Sea for centuries. But the increasing tension in recent years is triggered by the boost in construction activities by China. With reports of missiles being deployed in the region, concerns are fueled over the area being militarized and turned into a global flashpoint. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now in Global Buzz. Former UN Secretary General Boutros Ghali passed away on Tuesday at the age of 93. He died at a Cairo hospital after being admitted with a broken pelvis. As a mark of tribute, the UN Security Council observed a minute's silence. Boutros Ghali took office in 1992 and played a decisive role in the Gulf War. The Ukrainian government survived a no-confidence vote yesterday, staving off an immediate threat of snap elections. The vote came just hours after President Poroshenko publicly urged the Prime Minister to resign, a move that underscored the level of political infighting that has derailed the country. President Obama said today that Trump will not be president because it's a serious job. Donald Trump is a front-runner in the race to be his party's choice for the White House. He's won one state primary already and leads the elections in South Carolina, where Republicans vote on Saturday. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy was placed under formal investigation over a 2012 campaign funding case. The case alleges that Sarkozy's campaign costs were more than twice the legal limit. Reports suggest that Sarkozy has denied all allegations. Time now for all the sports action in Sportsweek. Five-time world champion Viswanathan Anand finished second in the Zurich Chess Challenge. Hikaru Nakamura of the United States pipped the Indian for the top spot with a better tie-break score. Anand was tied with Nakamura for the first place, but an unannounced Armageddon game was played in which Nakamura won. The chief executive of Athletics Kenya offered to step down temporarily amid allegations of taking bribes from athletes. Isaac Mwangi has denied any wrongdoing but offered to leave his post for 21 days while the world governing body, the IAAF, investigates the claims. Two athletes suspended for doping claimed Mwangi had asked for money in exchange for lenient punishments. Rafael Nadal overcame some tricky conditions to beat Carreño Busta in his first-round match of the Rio Open. Carreño's service proved to be his downfall and he lost in what turned out to be a one-sided opening set. With this, Nadal moved forward to the round 2 of the Rio Open. Well, that's it from us. Goodbye.